And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a second episode of Fairway to Heaven this week. One wasn't enough. If one golf tournament in a week isn't good enough for the PGA Tour, one episode of Fairway to Heaven is not good enough. That's why we're back tonight, Wednesday night here, special pop-up episode of Fairway to Heaven. I'm your host, Phil Stifel. Shoot me a follow at Beard and Knowledge. Obviously, part of DSM Media. You can follow DSM Media at DSM_media. You might be watching on some of the DSM social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you share it out, like it, follow it. If you're over on the YouTube page, click that subscribe button. We also have a special Fairway to Heaven Twitter page as well, which you might be viewing us on at Fairway, the number 2, Heaven _. Pretty simple. It's where I post all my fantasy golf picks, all my gambling golf picks on that site. And last night, special shout out to my guest last night, Chris Ebom, at Chris Ebom. We went over the Dell match play. What's up, Adam? How you doing, man? Thanks for checking in tonight. Because we did the Dell match play, March Madness meets PGA Tour last night. But that doesn't mean that we need to forget about the Corrales Puntacana Championship happening down in Puntacana with the non-top 64 golfers in the world where they're participating this week. Everybody's focused on the main event, the Dell match play. There's a lot of money to be made in the secondary event. And that's why I wanted to come on. We're not going to go really long tonight. We're going to break it down. I'm going to show you some of my strategy since I'm rolling solo here, how I build my lineups, how I build and choose who to pick, how these models that we always talk about on these shows work. Nobody ever actually, shows you, really how they work. So we're going to go over all that stuff. DSM Media, all shows are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT and below the waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out. Manscaped.com. Promo code DSM, get you 20% off and free shipping. Fairway to Heaven is also brought to you by Fantasy National Golf Club at Fantasy National Twitter, fantasynational.com. Best model making tools there are, and we're going to get into their model making. I'm going to share the screen and show you how I build my model for golf events to help me make my decisions on my fantasy lineups, on my betting, and things like that. So I'm going to share the screen a lot tonight on this episode. The more I think about it, the more I'm going to show you, the longer this episode could go on. So shout out to Fantasy National, shout out to DSM Media's main sponsor, Manscaped. Shout out to everybody out there that's tuning in. Make sure, like I said, you're sharing this and following it. So the Corrales Puntacana Championship, big, bold thing. It's held in Puntacana. Resort style course. Resort style courses are really interesting because resort style courses always kind of along the coastline. Always has some different weather and wind factors that play into it. But when you're looking at this week's event, you're looking at the Corrales Golf Course. It's a 7,670-yard course. It's one of the longest courses on tour. I mean, it's massive. 7,600 yards for a par 72. It's insane. Paspalium greens. It's got really small greens, actually putting greens. So really hard to hit them. So we're gonna be focusing in on greens and regulation a little bit. We do not have the top 64, top 70-ish golfers in the world at this event. So we're going to be looking, even though it's a long course and you would think and assume that driving distance matters, the problem is the top drivers, the guys that are the bombers, the Bryson DeChambeaus, they're all in the main event, the match play event. So when you get down to the 70th ranked golfer and down, you tend to get guys that aren't quite as long of hitters. You get some older guys, some guys that are on the Korn Ferry Tour that aren't quite fully developed in their golf swing. So while driving distance matters this week, shots gained off the tee, which is, for those that are newer or just tune in, shots gained off the tee, it's taking into account, driving distance, accuracy off the tee, the fact that, how many times after your drive you get it on the green in your next shot if you miss the green, or miss the fairway. So there's a lot of things that it takes into account. So it's very, very important on a course like this when you don't have a lot of bombers in it. I'm not saying you ignore the bombers, but off the tee is a much more important stat. So, this course, like I said, it's a longer course. The past champion last year, Joe Dahmen won it. Hudson Swafford, Graham McDowell, Bryce Garnett, Nate Lashley, Dominic Bazzelli. These are the guys that are winning this tournament. And to the true golf fans, we know most of these names. Graham McDowell's a former major champion. For the most part, these are smaller name guys. And the one thing that everybody falls into trap-wise normally is when they play these bigger events or these smaller events, smaller fields or less popular guys. What happens is they get sticker shock when they look at DraftKings. So that's a key thing. Don't get shocked when Joel Dahman, who's normally a 7,000 price guy on DraftKings, comes in as the highest priced guy this week. Don't freak out. Just relax. You got to take it all into account what's going on. But I'm going to share the screen. This is fantasynational.com. This is a site. This is how I build my lineups. So this is a model, custom model here. For anybody that's new that's tuning in. And I'm thinking, I'm going head-to-head with Rick Run Good tonight. He's doing his Puntacana show. Try not to go head-to-head with Rick Run Good. He's the GOAT. He's the best in the best. He's the best in the biz. So I try to watch his shows to prepare for my shows, but I realized 15 minutes ago that he was going live right now too. So, we might have some new people that are tuning in for the first time. The Sixers don't play till 10 o'clock, against the Lakers. So maybe some DSM people are tuning in and want to see how this works. So, this is how a custom model works. You got all your different stats, that a golfer can be graded on: sand saves, good drives, greens in regulation, driving distance, all the shots gained categories, proximities. If you're focusing in on certain distances on certain holes, birdies are better, DraftKings points, anything you want to go to, you put them here. You click on the stats you want, and I've already pre-set up my model here. Approach, shots gained total, tee. I'm gonna rearrange these. Shots gained off the tee. I already said that's one of my number one things this week that I'm looking at. Shots gained off the tee, very important. If there was, the premier players, I wouldn't have that on there. I have driving distance, but because it's not the premier players playing this week, off the tee is important. Approach, your second shot towards the green, very important this week. It's a very long course, so off the tee and approach. That's why I'm weighing them 20% each. You got 100% to spend on your model here. 20% approach, 20% off the tee. Then tee to green, obviously another ball striking type category right there. I've put that at 15%. Now the last 4 of the last 5 winners have been 18 under. That means low scores. So birdies are going to be at a premium. You're going to need to be able to birdie a lot. That's why I weighed 15% higher than everything else. The rest of the categories, 15% of my model is birdies are better. Again, I said it. These are small greens, so greens in regulation I put at 10% because of the large amount of unknowns this week. You got a lot of guys you don't play, a lot of guys you've never heard of, a lot of guys that miss a lot of cuts. DraftKings points are going to come in. I don't normally play DraftKings points in my model, but I am this week because of the unknown. And normally I keep shots gained total, the basic general stat shots gained total. I always keep it at 5% in my model. But again, because of the general unknown this week with a lot of these names, I upped it to 10%. So there's my model. You could change it whether you want it to go over the last 50 rounds, 36, 24, whatever you want to do. I tend to do 36 because I think that's just enough of a recency for him, and it goes back far enough. But a lot of these guys don't have rounds on the PGA Tour in the last 24 rounds or, whatever. So I've stretched it back to the last 50 so I get a better understanding of who these golfers are. You click load my model, and then it brings it up here. So, as we wait for it to load here, it does take a second. Plus, I got really crappy internet here. So this is it. Here it is. It sorts out first by the salary on DraftKings. Johnny Vegas, the highest cost guy in DraftKings this week. Obviously, the most well-known name on DraftKings this week at 10-6. Sahadi Tagala, hot name on tour. Second, Joel Dahman, the defending champ, 10-2. Lashley, 10-1. Mark Hubbard, 10K. I don't like to sort it like that. I like to sort it by my model. So my model ranks these guys in this order as the best guys. You'll see some stars here because I've starred these guys as guys I want to, focus in on this week. And we're going to move over to the ownership percentage thing here in a second. But this tells me the top guys right now: Johnny Vegas, Joel Dahman. Based off of these stats, it weighs out where they rank. Like, Johnny Vegas is third in approach in this field, third in shots gained total, first tee to green, third off the tee, one birdie better. So based off of all those averages, how I weight him, he's number 1. Joel Dahman, number 2. Based off all these things, he's 15th off the tee, but because he's so good in some other things, the weighted average puts him at 2, straight on down. And this is what I focus in on when I'm doing my typical. I'm gonna bring myself up on the screen a little bit here for a second. When I do my typical week, I got 20 lineups in the max 20 entry event. I've got some single entries. I got some 3 max entries. I've got 20, 25 lineups. I did a few lineups for the match play. I'm only doing a few lineups this week, so I don't have to focus in on the top 30 or 40 guys. I play, if I have 20 lineups, I got 20, 21 guys that I'm using spread out, used multiple times in multiple lineups. Maybe max on some weeks I'll go up to 22, 23 guys. This week, with only having, I'm only going to do like 3, 4 lineups this week. I'm doing a bunch. I got 2 single entries already pre-reserved. I might do a couple more. Maybe I'll do a 3 max entry one. I'm not sure, but I'm only doing a few lineups. So I only need to find, in my opinion, is going to be the 8 or 10 best, names on this board. So I've got 10 names starred. If I'm picking 20 guys, I'm looking at the top 40, top 50 in my model. This week, I only need about 10 names, so I'm only focusing in on the guys that finish in the top 20. And when you're focusing in on these guys, there's a couple things you want to look at. Where they finish in the model, but where they finish in the model is not just the only thing you want to look at. I've starred these names, and I'm going to unshare the screen for a second here, and I am going to stop share, and I'm going to share a different screen for a second. Let's go share screen. Bear with me here for a second. And let's see, tournament most popular plays. Here's the screen I want to bring up. So this screen here, so you on Fantasy National, you got to star some names first before they let you bring this screen up. But this screen will bring up, where am I here? There we are. This screen will bring up, how many people, we'll sort it by dollar amount, first. Johnny Vegas, the most expensive guy, 54% of the people starred this guy. He's projected at 19.2% ownership. It's a lot of money and a lot of ownership percentage. So you want to focus in here on your calculated ownership percentage. What they calculate, that's what the projected ownership is. And you're looking at these names. Some of these names that are high in the model where they're at. I'm gonna, someone like Joel Dahman, defending champion. Obviously, he's going to be the most owned guy because when you think about it, this event here, there's a lot of unknown players, a lot of people that nobody knows, never heard of. And what you're going to get with that is you're going to get people clicking the names that they know best. And that's why you might want to stay away from some of these more popular guys. The names that people know best, the Joel Dahman, the defending champion, people know him. Johnny Vegas, he's won on tour, owned hot. Those guys, 19%, that's a lot for them. Adam Svensson, he's a guy I've played a lot of this year. I play him this year because he's 6,700, 6,800 most weeks. He's 9,400 this week, 15.9%. That's not bad. I think he can actually win the event. Some of these other names, Tagala, popular name right now, 10-4, really pricey for a guy, 15%. Some of these other names down here, we can go down further. Here's a name I love this week, Aaron Rye. We'll get into his numbers in a minute, but 13.4%. That's not bad. As we go down, Tyler Duncan, 12%. He's a guy that's normally owned 1%, 2%. Cameron Percy, he burned me last week, but he grades out really well on this course. 9.5%, 7,200. That's insane. I played him at 6,100 last week, and he was only owned in probably just my lineups, and that's it. You can go down here, all the stars. Look, Jason Duffner, former major champion, 6,600. How he's still only 6,600? It's kind of crazy. 3.9% played. Projected ownership. That's not bad. It's stuff I'm going to look at. So let me remove this screen here. I want to get back to the model screen here. So stop share, reshare screen. Let me get my model back up on the screen here so we can start figuring out some of these names that we're looking at here. So there's different ways to look at this. You look at your model, you try to pick the names that fit best. I have on separate screens right now. I have their tournament history over the last 5 years up here. Joel Dahman won last year. He's also got a 12th place and a 13th place in his last 3 events times playing this event. Someone like let's see, some of the other names I like this week. Tagala. I'm staying away from him. He's never played in this event. Johnny Vegas, the most expensive and highest owned guy. He's got an 18th, a 26th, and a missed cut. It's not really good for a guy of his caliber playing at this event. Going down here, some of the other names I like lower down, like Jason Duffner. We'll find Jason Duffner down here. He's 6,600. Where is he? Jason Duffner never played this event. He's probably too good for this event normally. I want to find, Rye. I believe he's not had an event here yet. No, he has not. So that's another thing I look at. And then on another screen, I got their last 6 events and their shots gained total at those last 6 events in their places. It's a little skewed because the last 6 events does include the Players Championship, which I have pretty much at this point just written off the Players Championship. I'm not paying attention to the Players Championship. No matter what happened in the Players Championship, I've just basically thrown it out the window. We all know how much of a disaster that was, that event. So this is how I go about my process on a weekly basis. Again, if you want to look at the top 10K, obviously Nate Lashley at 10-1 graded out terribly this week. 60th on approach, not very good. 53rd in greens and regulation. That's not good. So someone at 10-1, 40 first place, you're ignoring him immediately. So you look at these numbers here, with the ownership percentage of Tagala, ninth, I'm eliminating him. Johnny Vegas and Joel Damon, I'm eliminating them from my list. If I'm going to start a lineup with anybody up high, it'll be Mark Hubbard, seventh. He's first in shots gained total, first in DraftKings points. I mean, nothing can be better than being first in DraftKings points. You need as many points as you can. Obviously, that's the name of the game. Any fantasy football people watching, you need as many fantasy points as possible. So it's very, very important to focus in on those fantasy points right there. So I do like Mark Hubbard right there. Going down to the 9K range, Matthias Schwab, played him last week. He's not a bad player, but in this field, 29th in this ranking. Look, 87th in birdies or better, 69th in DraftKings points. Two big stars right there to me. That makes him, if I'm only looking for 10 names, he's the guy that's got to come off my board. Bryce Garnett, another guy. Plays well in these lighter fields, but again, 95th in birdies or better, 80th in DraftKings points, 57th. Look, you got to chop him off the block. Adam Svensson finished fourth in my model, second in approach, 36 in shots gained total, but second tee to green, third in greens in regulation. Such very important stats this week. You might even skip Hubbard and just start your lineup with Adam Svensson right from the get go. Continuing down here, some names. I mean, Alex Smalley, he's a guy that I think people will play a little bit this week. Graham McDowell, former major champion, grades out terribly, but he's going to be a name that's probably owned higher than most people think because it's a name. Nobody knows who. You go down here. I know who he is, but Rasmus Jagard, no one knows who he is, but people know who Graham McDowell is. So people are going to gravitate towards these guys. Patrick Rogers has missed a bunch of cuts this year. He's played really well. Second in the field total, eighth in DraftKings points, second in greens in regulation, 14th tee to green. I mean, these are good numbers. I love Patrick Rogers this week. I really do. The name I like the best, and I'm going to bring up the DraftKings board, and then we're going to do bets. The name I'm probably going to bet first outside of Adam Svensson this week in this tournament is going to be Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai's played really good golf this year. Considering he's a new name on tour, I want to bring up his, he hasn't played here, so that's wrong screen here. I want to bring up his recency. He missed the cut at the Arnold Palmer, but he has 66, 61st. I thought he had some better finishes than that. I want to bring him up on DraftKings real quick here. Something had me thinking about Aaron Rai this week. Missed cut 61st, 61st, 64th, sixth at the Farmers Insurance. That was a little further back. He had a stretch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight weeks of making the cut before missing the cut at the Arnold Palmer. So yeah, Aaron Rai, good play. This lighter field, this weaker field, he is a guy that I do like this week a lot. Again, and that's why you're looking at his ownership percentage. 13%. That's not bad. 13% for a guy that's 8K that grades out great in the model. It's a fantastic play right there. Continuing down, Nick Taylor has a decent rank. Again, I only need 10 guys. Smotherman, another guy, eighth in my model. If I only need 10 guys, of course, at 7,800, that helps balance my lineup. Swafford's a name I like this week, third in my model. You can't beat that. Second in birdie or better, fifth in DraftKings, eighth in approach, all very important numbers here. Ninth in greens and regulation, perfect numbers right there. Tyler Duncan, we're continuing on, another name there. Bello, Rafa Cabrera Bello, it's a name people know, but if you look at his numbers, 84th overall, 75th in approach. This guy's not a guy that's playing great over the last 50 rounds. So you might, he's a name but it's a name you want to stay away from. Tyler Duncan, like I said, 13th, I like him. Continuing down this model here, like I said, Cameron Percy, he burned me last week. He burned a few people last week because he was a guy that, we really thought, I like to call myself the 6K whisperer. 6,100 last week. He was not very good last week. He missed the cut last week. I want to bring up some information on him here. Hold on one second. Cameron Percy, 7,200. So let's see here. Let's see what his ownership percentage is going to be again here. It's going to be 9.5% owned. He was like 1% owned last week. Yeah, that's insane. Let's bring up his. He's played here twice though. He played here in 2021, finished in 8th place, or 2020 he finished in 8th place. And in 2018 he finished in 54th place. So he's made the cut here twice. That's really good. Let's bring up his history here, recency. He's only made 2 cuts out of his last 6 events, but I want to say 7th at Puerto Rico Open, another lighter field, another resort style field, finished in 7th place at that event. That's really good. He missed his other 4 cuts around that, but then the Fortnite Championship back in September, another lighter field made the cut. So it's a guy that can make the cut in the smaller, lighter fields. So it's a guy I'm really zoning in on. Cameron Piercy again. If he burns me twice, then he's dead to me. There's coming a point where there's too many names on the dead to me list, but I got to keep rolling with it. Ryan Armour, we're going to page down here to 7K here. Ryan Armour's another name. He graded out well in my model, 5th in my model overall. He's only 7K, 28th in approach, 5th in shots gained total, 9th and off the tee, which means he's getting it into the fairway and he's getting himself onto the green from there. 4th in greens and regulation. Not great in birdies or better, decent in DraftKings points, but these kind of numbers for Ryan Armour are numbers that make me think that he's going to not only just make the cut, but make a decent. He's only going to be 7% owned to project it. That's not bad. Let's see his tournament history here. Armour, he only played here once. He missed the cut. That's not fantastic, but I'm going to ignore that. He missed his last 2 cuts on tour. So let's see where he's at overall here. In recent, he's made 4 of 8 cuts this season. He missed his last 2 cuts, but AT&T Pebble Beach, the Pro-Am there, 28th place. Sony Open in Hawaii, 20th place. Resort Style Course, missed the cut at the RM. The Bermuda Championship, 67th place. Again, another resort. I played that course in Bermuda. It's a super resort, super weather thing. And Fortnite made the cut there. So again, his cuts are being made and his deep runs are being made at the lighter fields. So Ryan Armour, definite play. Going down here further, look at these numbers. Some of these names in a regular field, if someone was ranked, Sean O'Hara, my man, he couldn't get over 6,900. He couldn't grade out better than 63rd in my model. Now, for those that just tuned in for the first time, he does hit a lot of greens, 32nd in greens. Still not going to play him. Sean O'Hara is like my weird little fascination with him. Always play him. Can't this week. In a normal week, someone like Bo Hogue, 6,800, 37th in my model, 11th in approach, 26th tee to greens, 17th in greens and regulation. On a normal week when I'm building 2025 lineups, Bo Hogue is making my model because that's what it is. But I only need 10 names. Roger Sloan, another one on a normal week with this kind of a grade, 12th, birdies are better, pretty much really good in a lot of these things. He's making most of my player pools. But this week I don't need as many names, so I don't have to come down here. I only came down this far again because Jason Duffner, 6th in my group here, 7th on approach, 3rd tee to green. He's decent in these other things. Jason Duffner is he's a veteran, wily veteran, won a major, won the PGA Championship before. How much exposure I'll get to him, I'm not sure. But again, that's so this is kind of about my process here. So I'm going to unshare this screen for a second here. Stop share, and we're going to reshare the screen here. We're going to bring up my DraftKings board here, and we're going to try to build an optimal lineup here. We're going to try to get the names I like the best in it, and then we're going to go from there and see what I have. I've got my top 10 names written down here on the side, so I kind of know where I'm going. And like I said, Rye, I love Rye this week, so we're going to start my lineup with Rye. I like Svensson a lot this week. So those 2 names, it takes me down to 8,150 available. So let me get back to my model page. I wish I could share more than one screen at a time because that would be great. Unfortunately, you can't. So we're looking here: Hudson Swafford, Svensson, Ryan Armour, Duffner, Hubbard, Smotherman. All right, so we got to get Smotherman in here, and I think we got to get Ryan Armour in here next, and we'll go from there and see what's left. So Smotherman, right? And then who did I say we got to get in here? Where's my model? Back to my model here. Smotherman and Armour. That's the other guy there. Ryan Armour. Smotherman, Ryan Armour. We got that. That's leaves me with 8,900 now to play with for the rest of my model or for my rest of my lineup. Where do we go here? Do we put Hubbard in here, who's 10K. He would be my most expensive guy. Leaves me with 7,800. Which means I can get Hudson Swafford, my 3rd-ranked guy, into my lineup. Damn. Based off of my model, that's a fantastic lineup. This is in a single entry divot, $300. It's a $1 entry event. Yeah, I mean, guys, I like that lineup. I like that lineup a lot. So, man, I'm looking at it. We're just going to update that entry right now. We're just going to lock that entry in right there. How about that? I like it. Single entry divot. we're going to go back because I just, I'm going to clear this board out here for a second. We're going to build a second lineup here live on the air. Again, it's okay to double up when you're doing it. If you got confidence, Svensson, I really like Svensson this week. I'm really confident that he's going to make the cut and make a deep run. I'm putting him in a second lineup. There's no doubt about it. I love Swafford this week. We're going to put him in a second lineup. Okay. Now this time we're going to go Duffner. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to put Duffner in this time. Save myself some money. Now I got 8,800 to build the rest of the lineup. I'm looking at my names. I'm looking at my board. Where do we go here? I got a lot of money left on the table. We go Patrick Rogers at 87. I don't have an issue with that there at all. Like I said, I like Patrick Rogers. If you bring up his game log, he missed to cut the players, but everybody missed to cut the players. 30th player, or the Arnold Palmer, tough event. The Honda 64th, missed a bunch of cuts, but before that, had a nice run back there, in January. Patrick Rogers in this kind of a lighter field, definitely love him. That leaves me with 8,800. Let's go back to here. I got 8,800 and I got two spots. I could go Rye again, and that might leave me. I'm not sure what that'll leave me with here. And sometimes when you're doing this, your player pool kind of adjusts as you go. Because now I got Aaron Rye that leaves me with 9,700. And you're looking at the guys that are available at 9,700. And anybody watching this that's new, again, like I said, as you're getting ready for the Sixers game and whatnot, it's key in all fantasy sports, whether it's fantasy golf, fantasy, football, fantasy basketball. It's important to build unique lineups. I don't need to spend all 9,700 that's left on the table. I can't because the next person, Bryce Garnett, is 9,600. But you want to leave money on the table. The more money you leave on the table, the more likely you have a unique lineup, and that's very, very important to have a unique lineup. So I'm looking at 9,600. I'm going down here. Some of these other guys like Alex Smalley. I mean, let's take a quick peek at Alex Smalley here real quick. His history recently: missed a cut, 38th at the Arnold Palmer, 55th at the Honda. He made the cut at the Genesis barely, but he did 56th. Alex Smalley's playing some really good golf. Doesn't grade out poorly. I mean, I said I was trying to stick to the top 20. Where was he again? Alex Smalley, 12th in my model, 10th shots gained total, 9th off the tee, 11th drafting points. Yeah. See, that's why you have your pool, you have your projected pool, who you think you're going to play, and then all of a sudden, as you start building your lineups, things change. I got to write his name down real quick. I didn't think Smalley was going to be on my pool, but now he is. Alex Smalley's part of my pool there. Yeah, and that's about what my process looks like when I'm doing that. So I'm going to remove this from the screen for a second here. I'm going to lock that lineup in, update entry. Hold on. I don't want you guys to think I didn't lock that lineup in. We are updating that lineup right there. See, it's locked in. As you can see, my lineups right now, I got a really good lineup going in this single entry here in the Dell match play. This lineup right now is 24th place. Not too shabby. 5 of my 6 guys won their match today. One of them, who was it? Who halved? Kevin Mitchell halved against Patrick Cantlay, but everybody else won today. Fantastic. I really hope that lineup cashes. That could be a good job there. All right, so we're going to remove this for a second, just so I don't, jam up the screen here. We're going to switch over to my sports book here. I want to see what some of my bets and what some of the odds are on this event. I just got to get logged in here. It always takes so long to log into the sports book. Got to check the location, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Almost done checking location. Is it going to even let me check the location? Sometimes this thing takes forever here to happen. Sometimes it doesn't even. Man, can't locate. Again, what is up with this? Yeah. Anyway, right, so I can't log in to place any bets right now, but I can at least look at the odds. Let's go to golf here. We're going to go to Puntacana here. All right, we're going to bring it back up here on the screen so you look at some of these odds. Again, Svensson is a guy I like. 35 to 1. Oh, that's the wrong guy. Svensson 35 to 1. That's some really strong odds right there. Where's my man Rye? I like Rye this week. 40 to 1. All right. Let's see here. What are the Smalley kind of impressed me there when I saw his things. I want to see where Smalley is on this list. I want to get good value. Man, he's the third. So this is something in fantasy golf and in DraftKings that people don't pay attention to. Smalley was priced at 9K. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 guys priced ahead of Alex Smalley this week. But if you look at the odds, Alex Smalley is the third best odds to win this event. And that's something right there that you could take and use to your advantage when you're building your lineups. That's telling me something that the books know. The books are looking at his win equity and his percentage of chance of winning. They think he can win. DraftKings, they're looking at a lot of different things, making the cut, how many fantasy points, where they grade out. You got to look at the odds when you're building your lineups because it makes such a difference. Absolutely. Let's try to recheck my location here, see if these bets can get placed or not. I might have to close down and reset to actually get the bets made or something else here. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But that's a key piece of information right there. Alex Smalley's 25-1, the third favorite to win the event. But yet, he's it's crazy. It's crazy. So do I love 25-1 for Smalley? I mean, I try to find, better odds than that on people, but they might be. I've got a lot of bets going in the match play right now, so I might just stick to just 3 bets. Let me go down this board here and see where everybody else is. Patrick Rogers 45-1, 45-1. That's not bad. Let's see here. Mark Keimer, former major champion, 55. Hudson Swafford 50-1. Not bad. Yeah, there's some okay odds on here. It's kind of tough. Kevin Piercy was like 200-1 last week. He's 80-1 this week. Kind of crazy. Yeah, no. I mean, I'm going to lock these 3 bets in once I get off the air and can figure out this location thing. But again, really important. I mean, you look at it. Svensson, who I love this week in DraftKings, is 9,400, and he is 35-1. Smalley's 9K, much further down the board, but got 10-1 better odds to win the event. That just goes to show where people are thinking right there. So it's something really interesting that more people need to look at, take advantage of when they're building their lineups. All right, so that was a fun little quick little conversation there because the Corrales Puntacana this week. I mean, if you look at the events, the size of the events that I was entering there are 30-40% smaller than they normally are. So everyone's got all their money invested in the Wells Fargo match play. Doesn't mean that you can't make money in this smaller event. I'm going to be focused in on it this weekend. I'm going to have my lineups in. I'm going to do my showdowns, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in this Puntacana event. And I'm going to keep sticking to it because there's money to be made there. And if you have the right plan, the right system, the right, play in your way to play it here, you can make some serious money this week in that. Well, hopefully I make a lot of money in the Dell match play. I mean, I've got enough bets to last me a lifetime in it. I can't even keep track of my bets in the Dell match play right now. But it is what it is. I just gotta, check my account. When the group play ends on Friday, check my account and just see how many of them hit because it's impossible to keep track of them all. But yeah, I mean, this was a fun little go. I've never done a golf show before solo, so this is very entertaining, very helpful. Because next week I'll be back solo. I don't have any guest booked for next week. Will I? I'm not sure. I may try to book somebody. I may not. I might just try to go roll solo again next week, just to kind of see what happens. Next week's the Valero Texas Open. I love Texas golf. I said it last night. Texas golf brings out a different kind of crowd, different kind of players, and the Texas boys, specifically Scotty Scheffler, love playing down there. Scotty Scheffler played really well today as well. That group of death is going to be a blast to watch tomorrow and Friday. Whoever comes out of that group of death in the match play, it's going to be fantastic. But anyway, quick little show. Give some more detail on how my process works, and also discussing this week's smaller secondary side event, but still a PGA Tour event. These guys that are in this event are taking it very seriously because there's points for the FedEx Cup standings, that are in play. There's points in the World Golf rankings that are in play. Sponsorships in play. The right to be on tour for X amount of time in play. I know the prize money is not in the millions of dollars. First place I saw was only like $600,000, $670,000, which is really, really low compared to the millions and millions that first place gets on major normal events. But look, guys, it's still an important event for the 100+ golfers that are in this event. But probably some of them brought their families down to Puntacana, have a little vacation, a little R&R with the kids. So it'll be fun. And I'll be watching both events this weekend on Golf Channel. I'll be watching some of the Puntacana Corrales event championship and Dell match play. Obviously, all of our focus will be on the match play. But guys, let's cash together. Let's focus in on the Puntacana and make money where everybody else is turning a blind eye to it. Or they're not doing their homework on the event. They're just click. All right, we got our lineup in. Focus in on this event. This is where you can make your money this week. So thank you all for tuning in. This has been a blast. I'm Phil Stifel, host of Fairway to Heaven, right here on DSM Media. All the DSM Media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and follow all the DSM Media channels. If you're watching on the Fairway to Heaven Twitter page, make sure you shoot me a follow there as well, at Fairway, the number 2, Heaven _. I would greatly appreciate that as well. I'll be back next week with the Valero Open on Tuesday night. I'm rolling solo now. Shout out to my man, Jason. He's taking a little step back right now. So since I don't have to worry about a partner on it, we might flip around the times. I might start at 8:30 sometimes, at 9:15. We might play around with that a little bit. We may even play around with it and switch it to Monday night sometimes. I'm not sure. But again, I greatly appreciate all the support on Fairway to Heaven. Everybody that tuned in last night, everybody that tuned in last week. So far, this is my 3rd show as a solo manager of the Fairway to Heaven show. So greatly appreciate anybody and everybody's support. The golf community, the gambling and podcasting golf community is fantastic. Again, a shout out to Chris Ebaum, man. Excellent guest. He does great work on Rise and Fire. Everybody have a fantastic night. I'm going to go saddle up and get ready to watch a little of the Sixers game before I pass out. I'll be back live tomorrow morning with Trending in the AM. Again, rolling solo on that show. Got lots to talk about there. Just make sure you stay tapped into DSM Media. So, on that note, let's cash at the Puntacana Corrales Championship, everybody. And, shout out. I guarantee my numbers were way better than Rick Run Good tonight because, Fairway to Heaven's the best, man. Everybody have a great night. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.